All right, this CCP virus thing is causing a lot of people a lot of grief, and that includes the case study guys for ScanShare. And so they asked me once again to fill in, and so I'm going to tell you an old story. This story came from the CAN webinar or seminar that I did a long time ago in Chicago, and it's a case study that came from the FlatRadar website, which is now gone. And so let's look over this case study. Now, there aren't very many slides to look at, but if you are a seasoned drivability tech, it should be pretty quick to kind of know where the problem is. If you're not, then maybe you'll find this helpful. And so with that, let's go ahead and take a look at this 2000 GMC Yukon. Now, the complaint is a severe lack of power, and it runs okay. So I went out to the parking lot, got in the truck, it fired right up. It idled smooth. It drove fine to my service bay, and I could, bring the RPMs up. It seemed to be fine. The problem occurred when I tried to drive it. So before I took this out to drive it, I checked for codes, and I found a P0121. Now, this is the failure record or freeze frame data from that capture for the P0121. And so if you want to look at the data, just freeze the video here and look over the data. This thing has a severe lack of power. And so I looked at it for a second and I moved on. So if you want to look at the data a little more carefully, go ahead. And then when you're ready, go ahead and click to continue. All right, so looking at what this code is, a P0121 is a TP sensor circuit insufficient activity. Well, in the service information, the first thing they give you is a schematic, and it's just a simple circuit. And so, you can stop and look stop the video and look at the schematic if you want, but I'm going to move on. This code will set if the predicted throttle angle does not match the actual throttle angle. And this condition must be present for 20 seconds. Now, that last part's important. If you're wanting to reproduce this code, it has to be having this issue for 20 seconds. That's a long time. So I'm not going to mess with this. The last thing I want to do is try to clear the code and duplicate the conditions. I'm just going to drive it. And that's what I did. So I drove it and I made a data capture. If I'm driving a car for a problem, I got my scan tool ready and it's recording. So with that, we have a capture, and this is a sliver of time in the capture. And this is all the GM software will do at that time. 18 seconds, that's as much time as you see on the screen. Now I have 3 PIDs, engine RPM, I have the throttle blade, and I have one of the upstream O2 sensors. So the time that you see my foot to the floor, the throttle blade fully open, that's only about 9, maybe 10 seconds. And you can see at first, it seemed to have plenty of fuel, and then I can just tell you, after just a few seconds, this thing started bogging down and kind of chugging, and that's where that hash is that you see in the last part of that wide open throttle in the O2 sensor. All right, so already we kind of know stuff, and that's important to know that we know stuff just from this. And now let's kind of move and look at a few more PIDs. I have engine load, I have the throttle angle, and I have the map. So this is all in the same time frame that we saw here. I just changed the PIDs, and so here I have engine speed or engine load, throttle angle, and the map. Remember, severe lack of power. You've got pretty much all you need to kind of drill down and say it's got to be there. So with that, down below in the description, there's a link to the data file, the real file, and you can look at it if you want. But there's plenty of stuff here already to kind of get an idea where you're going to go. So Part 2 of this case study will be presented in, I don't know, maybe a week or so. And so with that, enjoy. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up.